The contract sits between us on the glass table, edges sharp enough to cut. His pen doesn't move. Mine hovers over the signature line like a bird deciding whether to land or flee. 3 rules, he says, voice flat as winter steel. No emotional attachment, no public improvisation, no interference with my daughter's understanding of what this is. What this is, a transaction dressed in wedding silk. I watch him across the polished surface, navy suit perfectly tailored, jaw set in that particular way wealthy men hold their faces when they've already decided the outcome. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows frame downtown's glittering sprawl, 42 stories of power compressed into glass and steel. He's waiting, not for agreement, for compliance. I need career access, I say, keeping my voice steady. Investors won't take meetings with me, they'll take meetings with your wife. And I need stability. His fingers drum once against the table. The board questions a widowed CEO with a 7-year-old daughter. They see vulnerability, distraction. His wife's name never leaves his mouth. The absence is louder than grief. I read the terms again, though I've memorized them. 12 months minimum, public appearances as required, separate bedrooms, no parental role. His daughter already lost one mother. She won't be confused by a replacement. The word replacement tastes like rust. You'll attend fundraisers, he continues, ticking off expectations on long fingers. Quarterly board dinners, 2 investor summits. You'll be visible, appropriate, and forgettable, I finish. His eyes flick up, dark, calculating, controlled. There it is, the truth beneath the paperwork. He doesn't need a wife, he needs a variable he can manage. I should walk away. Every instinct I've built through years of clawing toward professional legitimacy screams that this will cost more than it pays. But I think of the venture capitalists who smiled through my pitch last month, then funded a man with half my data and twice my arrogance. I think of the accelerator programs that asked if I had family obligations before reviewing my application. I think of how many doors bear his last name like a key. My hand steadies. The pen meets paper with a whisper that sounds like surrender. He signs without hesitation, movements efficient as surgery. When he slides the document into a leather folder, his wedding band catches the light. Still there, still worn, still warning me that some ghosts don't need bodies to haunt. My assistant will send the media schedule, he says, standing. We'll begin next week. No congratulations, no acknowledgement that we just legally bound our lives. He believes rules can control outcomes. That belief will not survive us. One question, I say as he reaches the door. He pauses, hand on the frame, shoulders tight. When do I meet her, your daughter? The silence stretches long enough to hear the city breathe beyond the glass. When you've proven you can stay, he finally answers. Then he's gone, leaving only the contract and the terrifying certainty that I've just agreed to disappear inside someone else's carefully constructed life. The rules were supposed to protect both of us. They protected only him. The photographer adjusts my chin with cold fingers. Softer, she murmurs, like you're thinking of something pleasant. I'm thinking that this smile will appear in 73 publications by morning, that my posture is being cataloged by analysts paid to detect authenticity, that the emerald dress I'm wearing cost more than my first car and fits like expensive camouflage. Perfect, the photographer lies. He stands 3 feet away, hand hovering near my waist, close enough to suggest intimacy, distant enough to avoid actual touch. We've practiced this. Media training took 4 days. How to stand, where to look, which questions to deflect with gracious silence. Never lean in first, never initiate contact, never forget you're being watched. The camera flashes. My smile holds. Beside him, he's immaculate. Navy suit, white shirt, no tie because ties signal formality we're trying to soften. Every detail has been strategized. His publicist chose my nail polish. His stylist approved my jewelry. I am a variable being optimized. That's enough, he says, and the session ends with mechanical precision. In the car afterward, he doesn't speak, doesn't ask if I'm tired or uncomfortable or slowly dissolving under the weight of performance. He reviews emails on his phone, jaw working silently, already 10 decisions ahead. This is what controlled looks like: efficient, airtight, lonely. We're stopping at the house, he says without looking up. My pulse kicks. The house means his daughter, the daughter I'm not supposed to confuse. We pull through gates that whisper closed behind us. The property sprawls, modern lines, massive windows, everything designed to let light in while keeping the world out. Inside, it's quieter than buildings should be. She's in the living room, cross-legged on cream carpet, surrounded by colored pencils and paper. 7 years old, dark hair pulled into a ponytail, wearing pajamas even though it's 4 in the afternoon. She looks up when we enter, eyes cautious as a deer's. "Ava," he says, voice gentler than I've ever heard it. "This is your wife," she finishes, studying me with the blunt assessment children deploy when adults think they're not listening. I crouch slowly, keeping distance between us. "You can call me by my name if you want. No pressure." She considers this, pencil tapping against her knee. "Do you live here now?" "Sometimes," I answer carefully, "when your dad has work events." "Do you like puzzles?" The question arrives without warning, innocent and sharp as glass. "I do," I say, and mean it. She nods once, then returns to her drawing, 3 figures holding hands, rendered in bright crayon optimism. A house, a sun, a dog that might be a cat. I don't ask who the figures represent. When I stand, he's watching from the doorway, arms crossed, face unreadable, measuring not warmth but restraint, testing whether I'll overstep, overpromise, overperform. I meet his eyes and hold them. I wasn't performing, I want to say. I was just being kind. But kindness wasn't in the contract. Later, after I've left and returned to my own apartment because separate residences maintain healthy boundaries, I find something tucked into my bag. A drawing, crayon bright, 3 figures. He must have seen her slip it in, must have allowed it. The rules are shifting in ways too small to name. She started drawing us together before we knew we were becoming real. He stops correcting my posture in the 3rd week. It's subtle, a missing reminder before we exit the car for a museum gala, an absent adjustment of my shoulders before cameras flash. The space between us remains carefully measured, but his hand lingers half a second longer when guiding me through doorways. I notice because noticing has become survival. We're in his office now, 42nd floor, city blazing beyond glass walls like a constellation that forgot how to sleep. It's past midnight. He's reviewing acquisition documents. I'm reading industry reports on my tablet, both of us inhabiting the same silence with surprising ease. This wasn't planned. I came to drop off files his assistant requested, found him still working, stayed because leaving felt stranger than remaining. "Coffee?" he asks without looking up. "I'll get it," I say, standing. "Sit." The command is soft but absolute. He crosses to the sidebar, pours 2 cups with the precision he applies to everything, returns and sets mine within reach. Our fingers don't touch, they never do, but his eyes hold mine 1 beat longer than necessary, and something unnamed shifts in the air between us. "The Peterson merger," I say, breaking whatever moment tried to form. "Your team's missing leverage. Their CFO has expansion debt they're hiding. I found it in subsidiary filings." He goes still. "You read their subsidiary filings?" "I read everything." I pull up the documents, turn my screen toward him. "There, buried in footnote 14. He leans closer, scanning the data. Close enough that I smell his cologne, cedar and something sharper like winter mornings. Close enough to see the small scar near his temple that makeup usually hides. Close enough to wonder when proximity stopped feeling like strategy. "That changes the valuation by 30 million, he says quietly. "I know." He straightens, studying me with an expression I can't decode. "You didn't have to do this." "I know that too." The silence returns, but it's different now. Charged, aware. His phone shatters the moment, his assistant apologizing for the late hour, but there's a media situation that requires attention. He handles it with clipped efficiency, pacing near the windows, silhouetted sharp against the city's glow. I should leave, give him space to work without the variable of my presence. Instead, I stay. When he ends the call, he finds me still there, still reading, still occupying his space like I've earned it. "You don't have to stay," he says. "I know." "Then why are you?" The question hangs between us, dangerous and necessary. "Because leaving would be stranger," I finally answer. Truth, simple, undeniable. He nods slowly, something like understanding crossing his features before control reasserts itself. 3 days later, I overhear 2 executives in the building lobby, voices low but not low enough. The marriage is for optics, obviously. Think she knows, that everyone sees through it? Doesn't matter. 6 months and she's gone. They always are. I stand very still behind a marble column, tablet pressed against my ribs, heart beating too fast. They're wrong. The marriage is real, legally, publicly, practically. But they're also right. Nothing about us is built to last beyond utility. That night, an invitation arrives. Quarterly executive reception. Press confirmed. Black tie required. His assistant's note is brief. "Be ready. This one matters." I stare at the cream cardstock, already knowing this event will change everything. The performance was supposed to stay performance. Neither of us was ready for it to become real. The dress arrives in a garment bag that whispers money. Emerald silk, clean lines, elegant without softness, exactly what a controlled wife should wear to prove her husband made the right calculated choice. I hate that it fits perfectly. His car collects me at 7, he's already inside, reviewing notes on his tablet, navy suit so precisely tailored it looks like armor. He glances up when I slide in, and something flickers across his face before discipline erases it. "Good," he says, "just that, good. Not beautiful, not perfect, good. As if I'm a presentation that met specifications." The drive downtown is silent except for traffic and the low hum of his continued work. I watch the city scroll past, towers bleeding light into darkness, streets slick with recent rain, the whole world reflecting itself in glass. "Tonight's guest list includes the Singapore investors," he says without preamble. They're conservative, traditional. The marriage helps. Understood. The press will be positioned near the entrance and the north terrace. Smile, don't linger, don't answer questions about— I know the protocol, I interrupt gently. His jaw tightens. I need this to go smoothly. There's something beneath the words, not anger, fear. I turn fully to face him. What aren't you telling me? He sets down the tablet and for the first time tonight really looks at me. The control cracks just enough to let exhaustion show through. They're questioning my judgment, he admits quietly, not about the business, about balance, whether I can lead effectively while managing personal complications. I'm a complication? No, the word comes fast, almost sharp. You're the solution. Tonight proves stability, control, that I've handled the variables. Variables. There it is again, the language of management applied to life. And if something goes wrong, I ask? Nothing will go wrong. He says it like a command to the universe itself. The car stops outside the tower, his building, his empire, 42 stories of glass and steel thrusting into the night sky. Cameras cluster near the entrance like predatory flowers. Inside, I know the 42nd floor has been transformed. Champagne fountains, ice sculptures, Manhattan spread out like a bought kingdom beyond the windows. Everything perfect, everything planned. Everything about to shatter. He exits first, then extends his hand to help me from the car. The gesture is practiced, photographed, posted to 17 social feeds before my heels touch pavement. His hand settles at my waist as we walk, hovering, always hovering, never quite landing. The lobby is all marble and light, reflections multiplying us into an army of well-dressed ghosts. Elevator ride, silent. His breathing, controlled. My pulse accelerating for reasons I can't name. When the doors open on 42, sound hits like a wave, laughter, crystal, hundreds of conversations weaving into white noise punctuated by ambition. We step into the reception and every eye turns, not because we're stunning, because we're being evaluated. The room is exactly as I imagined, glass walls framing the city, tables arranged with geometric precision, guests clustered in formations that signal status and alliance. Everything polished, everything expensive, everything designed to make people feel powerful and small simultaneously. "Ready?" he murmurs, lips barely moving. I am not ready. My bones know something tonight will break and can't be fixed. But I nod anyway. We move into the crowd, his hand finally resting fully against my waist. The touch burns through silk, through skin, through every carefully constructed boundary we've built. Someone approaches with champagne and questions. Someone else mentions Singapore. And somewhere in the noise and light and performance, I feel the exact moment he stopped calculating. The night was supposed to prove control. Instead, it proved how fragile control had always been. The senior partner arrives like a shark sensing blood. New to the firm, ambitious, reckless in the way people who don't yet understand consequences can be. "You must be good for him," he says to me, champagne sloshing slightly as he gestures. "He hasn't looked this relaxed in years." The word lands like a stone through glass. Relaxed implies emotion. Emotion implies vulnerability. Vulnerability implies the thing he spent 3 months proving doesn't exist between us. Around us, conversation falters. Heads turn with the precision of predators detecting wounded prey. Someone's phone lifts, camera ready for whatever happens next. I feel him go rigid beside me. Not fear, but the terrible stillness of a man whose control just got questioned in front of the people who fund his empire. "I think," I start, ready to deflect, to smooth, to perform exactly as rehearsed. His hand closes around my wrist. Not gently, not roughly. decisively. The room's noise dims to a hum, then to silence so complete I hear my own heartbeat in my ears. His thumb presses against my pulse point. He must feel it racing, must know I'm terrified and exhilarated and completely unprepared for whatever comes next. "Wait," I breathe. He doesn't wait. His mouth meets mine with a certainty that obliterates performance. This isn't the careful, camera-ready press we practiced for photo opportunities. This is need and declaration and the sound of every carefully constructed boundary crashing down. The kiss is not gentle, it's not brief. It's the kind of kiss that tells everyone watching exactly what it means. I taste champagne and rebellion and the particular flavor of a man who just chose truth over self-preservation. My hands find his chest, not to push away, but to anchor myself against the tidal wave of exposure this moment represents. His heart pounds beneath expensive fabric, rhythm wild and honest. When he pulls back, his forehead rests briefly against mine, not for the crowd, for us. "I think you just changed everything," I whisper, eyes still closed. "Yes," he answers, "I did." The room has gone silent in the way spaces go silent after lightning strikes, that held breath moment before thunder arrives. I step back first, have to, because staying in his arms means drowning in the consequence of what we just did. Phones are lifted everywhere now, cameras flash, someone near the terrace laughs, high, nervous, the sound of a person witnessing something they'll repeat for months. The senior partner who started this has gone pale, finally understanding he just detonated something he can't control. I see it happening in real time, the calculations, the whispers, the way the Singapore investors exchange glances that spell contract complications. Board members cluster like crows around Carrion. His publicist appears at his elbow, face professionally neutral, but eyes screaming crisis. "I need to," I start, but don't know how to finish. "Go," he says quietly, "please." So I do. I walk through the room of beautiful, powerful people who are already reshaping tonight into narrative, into leverage, into weapons they'll use however serves them best. The elevator ride down feels like falling. By morning, the kiss will be everywhere. By afternoon, the damage assessment will begin. By evening, we'll both understand exactly what truth costs. The deal was supposed to protect his reputation. Instead, the truth destroyed it and freed us both. If you've ever signed a contract that asked you to bury who you really are for a job, a relationship, a chance at something better, you know the weight of that pen on paper. How many of us are still performing roles we agreed to years ago? Drop a comment if this hit different. Share this with someone who needs to know it's okay to break the deal that's breaking them. The articles arrive before sunrise. I don't read them, don't need to. The headlines scroll across my phone screen like an indictment written in real time. Billionaire CEO's public display raises questions. Emotional decision-making at corporate helm? When personal life compromises professional judgment. Someone leaked commentary about blurred boundaries. Someone else questioned his capacity for objective leadership. The Singapore investors requested an urgent clarification call. The board wants a statement. He doesn't call. That's how I know the choice was real, not the kiss itself, but everything that came after. A man who kissed for strategy would be on the phone by now, spinning narrative, deploying damage control, transforming chaos back into something manageable. Instead, silence. I stay in my apartment for 3 days, not hiding, waiting. For the apology that would mean it was all performance, for the explanation that would reduce last night to calculation, for him to call and tell me how we fix this. He doesn't. On day 4, his publicist reaches out. Professional, clinical. A meeting is requested, not demanded, at his office. Tonight, after hours. The phrasing tells me everything. After hours means no witnesses, no audience, no protection. I should refuse, should let whatever this is collapse under its own unsustainable weight. Instead, I go. The building is emptier at night, security desks staffed by a single guard who nods recognition, elevators humming their solitary ascent. 42 floors pass in silence, punctuated only by my heartbeat and the mechanical certainty of rising. His office door is open. Light spills into the hallway like an invitation or a warning. He's at the windows, hands in pockets, suit jacket discarded across his chair. The city spreads behind him, infinite, indifferent, still burning with ambition that never sleeps. He doesn't turn when I enter. "They want you to make a statement," I say, closing the door with a click that sounds too loud. I did. His voice is quiet, certain. I freeze. "You didn't?" "I resigned from operational leadership." He turns, finally, and his face holds no regret. "I kept ownership, stepped back from control." The words hit like physical force. "That's not— you didn't have to do that." "I did." He crosses the space between us slowly, deliberately. "Because my daughter will grow up watching how I choose, what I prioritize, whether I let fear dictate my life or truth does." Truth? The word tastes bitter. We had a contract, rules, a deal that kept both of us safe. From what? From feeling? From being seen? From admitting that somewhere between signatures and performance, this became real? I want to argue, want to list every reason this is unsustainable: his career, my reputation, the careful architecture we built to protect ourselves from exactly this moment. But the words won't come. Because he's right. Somewhere between the media training and the late-night office hours, between his daughter's drawings and the weight of his hand against my waist, the deal stopped being enough. "I never asked you to sacrifice this," I say quietly. "I know." He steps closer, near enough to touch, but doesn't. The silence stretches. Outside, the city continues its endless transaction, lights and ambition, and people making deals they'll regret or rejoice in. "What happens now?" I ask. "I don't know," he admits, "but I'd rather not know with you than be certain alone." It's the most honest thing he's ever said to me. I should stay, should push through the discomfort and fear and build something from these ruins. Instead, I leave. Not because I don't feel it, because I do. Some costs require distance to understand their worth. The news breaks on a Tuesday. Not the resignation, that was already public, already dissected by analysts who measure men in quarterly projections and shareholder confidence. This is different. Former CEO prioritizes family values over corporate pressure. Leadership transition cited as principled decision amid personal evolution. He didn't just step back, he reframed it, turned what the board wanted to weaponize into something they couldn't touch. A narrative about fatherhood, integrity, choosing presence over performance. The kind of story that plays well in markets that claim to value humanity while rewarding ruthlessness. It's brilliant, strategic, exactly what a man with his resources would deploy to protect himself. Except it's also true. I know because his daughter told me. She appears at my apartment on Thursday, delivered by his assistant with an apologetic text about Ava's insistence and hoping this isn't intrusive. She's wearing a backpack shaped like a cat and carrying a folder of drawings. "You left," she says, standing in my doorway with 7-year-old directness that doesn't waste time with politeness. "I did," I answer carefully. "Why?" The question is simple. The answer isn't. I crouch to her level because some conversations require equal sightlines. Sometimes adults need space to figure things out. Are you figuring out if you love my dad? The words hit like stones through glass. I stare at this small person who sees through every performance adults deploy, who inherited her father's capacity for cutting through noise to reach truth. I'm figuring out what kind of person I want to be, I finally say. She considers this, head tilting. Dad says you made him remember feelings aren't weaknesses. My throat closes. He said that? Not to me. She unzips the backpack, pulls out a juice box with focused intensity. But I heard him on the phone with Grandma. He said you were the first person who didn't make him feel broken for still missing Mom. The room tilts slightly. I steady myself against the doorframe. Do you talk about your mom? Only to Grandma, and only when he thinks I'm asleep. She pauses, then adds with devastating clarity, but I always know, because his voice changes, gets softer, sad soft, not angry soft. I don't know what to do with this information, this glimpse into grief he's never shown me, into the architecture of loss that built the man who kissed me in front of everyone who mattered. Do you want to come in? I ask. She nods, stepping past me with the confidence of someone who's already decided I'm safe. We sit on my floor, her choice, and she shows me drawings, new ones, different than before. 4 figures now, sometimes with space between them, sometimes not, always with a house, always with that same crayon-bright sun that children draw when they want the world to be warm. This one's my favorite, she says, pointing to a scene where the figures hold hands in a chain, gaps closed, connected. Why? I ask. Because everyone looks happy, not pretend happy, real happy. I study the drawing, the careful way she colored inside most lines, the places where enthusiasm made her scribble past boundaries, the whole imperfect, honest mess of it. I left because I was scared. Of what? Of wanting something I didn't think I deserved. She processes this with the seriousness of someone much older. Do you deserve it now? I don't know yet. She nods, accepting this with grace I don't deserve. That's okay. Dad says figuring things out takes time. He's right. He usually is, she agrees. Then, softer, but he's sad now, the sad soft voice. The words break something in me I didn't know was still intact. I should go see him, I hear myself say. Yeah, she agrees, you should. Sometimes children see the truth adults spend years avoiding. I wait 2 weeks before going to him. Not out of cruelty, out of necessity. Because if I'm going to walk back into his life, it can't be from guilt or obligation or the devastating honesty of his 7-year-old daughter. It has to be from clarity. So I rebuild myself first. The investment meetings I'd been avoiding, I take them, without his name attached, without the leverage of marriage opening doors. Just my work, my data, my years of expertise standing alone. 3 reject me outright. 2 ask condescending questions about commitment time frames and personal stability. 1 says yes. It's smaller than I wanted, riskier than I planned, but it's mine. I sign the partnership agreement in a coffee shop. No lawyers present, no glass towers or city views, just 2 people betting on potential instead of certainty. When I walk out, the relief feels like breathing after being underwater. I don't tell him, don't send updates or seek validation. This part of my life is separate, sacred, proof that I can exist without his orbit. But I think about him constantly. Wonder if he's sleeping, if his daughter is drawing new pictures, if the board's pressure has eased or intensified, if stepping back from control has given him the peace he claimed to want or just new forms of anxiety. Wonder if he thinks about me. The answer comes on a Saturday. I'm in the park, laptop open, reviewing projections under a tree that's shedding gold leaves like wealth it no longer needs. My phone buzzes. Not a call, a message. Ava wants to know if you're coming to her school play. I told her I'd ask. No pressure. Him. The formality of the message is protective, giving me distance, permission to decline without guilt. But underneath, I want you there too. I'm just too afraid to say it. I read it 17 times. Then I reply, what time? The play is terrible in the way all elementary school productions are. Missed cues, forgotten lines, one kid picking his nose through the entire second act. Ava plays a tree. She has 2 lines. She delivers them with the gravitas of someone accepting an Oscar. He sits 3 rows ahead of me. I see his shoulders first, tense, then relaxing as she nails her part. See him clap harder than anyone else when the curtain falls. Afterward, in the chaos of proud parents and sugar-rushed children, Ava spots me. You came! She barrels into my legs with the full force of 7-year-old joy. I did, I say, steadying her. You were incredible. I was a tree. The best tree. She beams, then turns to her father. See, I told you she'd come. He meets my eyes over her head, and the expression there is careful, hopeful, terrified. Can we get ice cream? All of us? The question hangs in the autumn air, weighted with meaning she's too young to fully understand. If it's okay with, he starts. It's okay with me, I interrupt. So we go. 3 of us in an ice cream shop that smells like waffle cones and second chances. Ava talks nonstop about the play, about her friend who forgot all her lines, about the tree costume that was itchy, but she didn't complain because professionals don't complain. He and I barely speak, just exist in the same space, passing napkins, sharing quiet smiles, learning how to be near each other without performance or contract. When we leave, Ava takes both our hands, creates a chain, walks between us like a bridge. This is nice, she says simply. And it is. Sometimes the most important conversations happen in silence. He asks to see me alone 3 days later. Not at his office, not at his house, at a coffee shop in a neighborhood where neither of us is recognized, where the anonymity feels like safety or surrender. I arrive first, choose a table by the window where light filters through rain-streaked glass, order tea I don't drink, just hold for warmth. He arrives exactly on time because he's still a man who measures the world in precision, even when his life has stopped following any predictable pattern. He looks different, not diminished, unburdened. The lines around his eyes have softened. His suit fits the same but wears looser, like he stopped wielding clothing as armor. "Thank you for coming," he says, sitting across from me. "You're being formal." I'm being careful. He wraps both hands around his coffee cup. I need to say things I should have said weeks ago, and I can't afford to say them wrong. I wait. Outside, the city moves through rain, umbrellas blooming like dark flowers, cars hissing through puddles, everyone rushing toward destinations that feel urgent until they arrive. I built my life around control, he begins, voice low enough that it's just for me. After my wife died, control was the only thing that made sense. If I could manage every variable, predict every outcome, I could keep Ava safe, keep myself from falling apart, keep everyone from seeing how close I was to breaking. His fingers tighten on the cup. Then you signed that contract, and I thought I'd managed another variable, contained the chaos of needing someone. You didn't need me, I say quietly. You needed a solution. No, the word is sharp, immediate. I told myself I needed a solution. What I actually needed was permission to feel again without calling it weakness. Rain drums against the window, filling the silence between us. You scared me, he continues, not because you were unpredictable, because you were present. You saw Ava, really saw her, without trying to replace what she'd lost. You read my reports and found leverage I'd missed. You stayed in my office past midnight for no reason except it felt right. And every single moment proved that control was just another prison I'd built. So you kissed me in front of everyone who could hurt you. So I chose you in the only way that couldn't be mistaken for strategy. He finally looks directly at me, and his eyes hold no calculation, just raw, terrifying honesty. I chose wrong before, waited too long to say what mattered, said I love you to my wife the morning of the day she died, and I'd said it so rarely before that she looked surprised, grateful and surprised. His voice breaks slightly. I won't make that mistake again. The rain intensifies. Someone laughs at a nearby table, oblivious to the moment fracturing in our corner. I love you, he says simply, not because you're useful or convenient or fit into my life plan, because you made me remember life is supposed to be more than managed risk, because my daughter draws you into every picture of family she creates, because I sleep better knowing you exist in the world, even if you're not in my bed. He pushes something across the table. A key. That's to the house, not because I expect you to use it, because I want you to know the door is open. No contract, no terms, no performance required. Just, if you want to be there, you can be. I stare at the key, small, silver, impossibly heavy. And if I'm not ready, I ask, then I'll wait. His voice is steady, certain. I'll wait as long as it takes. I pick up the key, feel its weight in my palm. I'm not ready, I admit, but I want to be. That's enough. For now, that's enough. So I keep the key. Love without leverage is the only kind worth keeping. I used the key 6 weeks later, not because of grand revelation or dramatic timing, because it's Tuesday. I'm tired and his house is closer than my apartment. Also because Ava texted me a picture of cookies she made with the caption, "They're okay, but not great. Dad says you'd know how to fix them." The message arrives at 4 p.m. I'm standing in my new office, actual office now, not borrowed space or coffee shops, reviewing contracts for the startup that took a chance on me. The same startup that just secured second-round funding, the same funding that has nothing to do with his name and everything to do with my work. I could text back, make excuses about being busy. Instead, I close my laptop and drive to the house that's slowly becoming home. He's in the kitchen when I arrive, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, helping Ava ice cookies that look structurally questionable but enthusiastic. "You came," Ava says, not surprised. Never surprised anymore. "I did." I set down my bag, wash my hands. "Let me see these cookies." I taste one. It's sweet enough to cause dental damage and somehow both undercooked and burnt. "Well?" Ava asks, hands on hips. "They're terrible," I say honestly. She bursts out laughing. "I knew it." "But," I continue, "terrible cookies made with people you love taste better than perfect cookies made alone." "That's deep," she says, affecting the tone of someone much older. "I'm very wise." "You're weird," she counters, but she's grinning. He watches us from across the kitchen island, and his expression holds something I'm finally learning to recognize: contentment. Not the performance of happiness, but the real thing, messy, imperfect, earned. After Ava goes to bed, after stories and negotiations about just 5 more minutes, and finally sleep, we sit on the back patio. City lights glow beyond the trees. The air smells like rain that's coming. "He loves you," he says quietly. "I love her too. The admission comes easier now. It terrified me at first. Loving your kid felt like overstepping, breaking the rules. The rules were supposed to protect us, he says. They just made us lonely. Efficiently lonely. He smiles, the worst kind. We sit in comfortable silence. Months ago, silence felt like failure, proof that we had nothing real to say to each other. Now it feels like fluency. I'm selling the company, he says eventually. I turn to look at him. What? Not all of it, majority stake, to a consortium that actually cares about the mission, not just returns. He leans back in his chair. I'll keep advisory role, enough to stay connected, but I'm done building empires that require sacrificing everything else. What will you do? I don't know yet. He sounds genuinely pleased about this. Maybe nothing for a while, maybe something small. Ava wants to start a charity for kids who lost parents. She asked if we could work on it together. We? I ask carefully. You, me, her. He reaches over, takes my hand. If you want. I lace our fingers together. I want. Good. 3 months later, he proposes. Not with fanfare or strategy. We're loading the dishwasher after dinner. Ava at a sleepover, the house quiet except for running water and the particular piece of shared routine. Marry me, he says, handing me a plate. I nearly drop it. What? Marry me. For real this time. No contract, no terms, no exit strategy. He dries his hands and faces me fully. Just love and terrible cookies and figuring out the rest as we go. We're already married, I point out. Legally, not actually. He pulls a small box from his pocket. Velvet, worn at the edges, clearly vintage. Inside, a simple gold band with a small diamond. Nothing flashy, everything honest. I choose you, he says, today and every day after, but only if you choose me too. I take the ring, slide it onto my finger beside the original band from our contract marriage. I choose you, I answer. Not because I need you, because I want you. Same thing. No, I correct gently. It's better. He kisses me then, soft, certain, ours. Outside, rain begins to fall. Inside, we start again. Their marriage was only a deal until it wasn't, and that made all the difference. This story isn't about perfect people making perfect choices. It's about two people who signed a contract to avoid feeling anything, then discovered that the most important deals are the ones you break. If you've ever hidden behind professionalism, strategy, or control because being real felt too dangerous, this one's for you. If you've ever loved someone but needed time to become the person who deserved them, this one's for you. If you've ever believed that safety and love were opposites, then learned they're actually the same thing, this one's for you. Share this with someone who's still performing instead of living. Tag someone who needs permission to break their own carefully constructed rules. Comment below if you've ever signed a deal that protected you from the very thing you needed most. Because the best love stories aren't about people who had it all figured out. They're about people who chose honesty over control, presence over perfection, and real, messy love over safe, empty deals. Your move. What deal are you ready to break?